Story recapped here. Today, I'm going to show you a movie that shows how a mother can go above and beyond for her children regardless of the situation. It is through a drama, horror, and thriller film called Mother's Day. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. How much danger and risk is a mother willing to go through for her children? Is committing a crime worth the safety of a mother's child? These questions will be answered by the character in this film, where situations will test mother's strengths and morals. In the middle of the night, an unknown woman makes her way into the maternity ward of a hospital and steals a baby. The nurse in charge immediately informs security, and the woman is held at gunpoint. Despite it, she refuses to turn the baby in and goes inside a stockroom. The guard follows her and finds her standing bravely in front of him. A man comes from behind him out of nowhere and starts stabbing him to death. Beth, so happy, prepares a birthday dinner in their basement for Daniel, her husband. Among the guests are Trishawn, Gina, Dave, Annette, George, Melissa, and Julie. Meanwhile, three fugitive brothers Ike, Adelie, and Johnny, who are seriously injured, run away with their car after an attempted robbery. They see police officers checking cars along the way, so they decide to make a U-turn. At the party, all of them watch a news report about a tornado warning, but Daniel assures everyone that the basement is tornado-proof. Annette begins dancing with Daniel, and Beth becomes uncomfortable. However, Beth says that everything is fine and puts her feelings aside. The brothers reach their mother's house and are surprised by the unrecognizable interiors. They argue whether they are at the right location while throwing things around. Beth and Daniel hear noises from upstairs, and he checks the living area. To his surprise, he sees the brothers, who take him hostage at an instant while claiming that it is their house. Daniel reveals that he bought the house on foreclosure and has only lived there for 2 months. It means that the house was actually the home of the three brothers before. Through the characters' dialogues, it reveals that the family has stopped being in contact for some time. Their sister, Lydia, is away from her brothers as she needs to stay with their mother. Another factor is that the brothers are supporting themselves and their family by making dirty money. After some time, Beth senses that something is wrong, so she checks on her husband upstairs. There, she sees unfamiliar men around her husband, and she immediately runs outside to ask for help. She doesn't get far because Adelie attacks and drags her back inside. To spare their lives, Beth says that one of her friends downstairs is a doctor, and Johnny's life could be saved. Ike orders her to call the doctor, and so she calls George to come with her upstairs. George tries to fight back, but the brothers are a step ahead of him and force him to check on Johnny, who is in critical condition. Meanwhile, Ike gets on the phone with his sister, Lydia, who informs him that their mother sold the house. Upon hearing about Johnny's condition, Lydia tells them that she and their mother will be on the way to help them. Adelie comes to the basement to gather the guests and threatens them not to do anything stupid. Upstairs, Ike sees a news report on the television about their robbery and becomes more anxious about the whole situation. Not long after, an RV arrives with Lydia and their mother, and she immediately scolds Ike for what happened. Mother then runs to Johnny to comfort him before thanking George for saving his life. She then talks to Ike in private and says that they could sneak into the border of Canada to escape, but they need $10,000. Mother learns that her sons have been sending her money for some time, but she never received any. The brothers switch to a calmer demeanor upon their mother's arrival. It shows how Mother asserts dominance over the family despite her sons being outlaws. The scene shows how Mother's presence changes the whole situation by instantly being the one in charge. Their mission now is not just to get out safely, but to also claim the money they lost. Mother and Ike go to the basement, and everyone is shocked by her politeness. Instead of laying on the floor, she lets the hostages sit comfortably on the couch. She then confronts Daniel and Beth about the money that has been sent to their address for months, but they deny it. Mother confronts Beth again, and she believes her, but not her husband. She commands Ike and Adelie to hit Daniel's hand repeatedly to extract information from Daniel, but to no avail. Mother decides to collect the guest rings and other valuables that would amount to the money they need. While she tells them to follow their orders, Melissa quickly runs upstairs, so Adelie runs after her. George sees Melissa run toward the door, but Adelie knocks him unconscious and shoots her just before she could step outside. Ike brings Beth with him to dispose of Melissa's body. Before they leave, Ike tries to kiss his mother goodbye, but she rejects it and tells him to hurry. They arrive at an empty parking lot and dispose of Melissa's body in a dumpster, leaving her in a pile of trash. Back in the basement, the guests argue if they should plot an escape or just follow the family's orders. As they talk, Lydia arrives to tell Annette that Mother wants her upstairs. Mother baked a cake and told her to share it with the other guests, which confuses Annette. In the middle of a chaotic night, Mother still displays the qualities of a caring woman toward her hostages. She sees the situation as if the guests are just children being on timeout. Mother's caring nature while having criminal tendencies sets her apart from other characters. Meanwhile, Beth and Ike go to an ATM to collect the money, where they encounter two party girls, Vicky and Jenna. The girls sense something bad about Ike upon seeing him force Beth into hurrying up. When he confronts them, Beth signals that Ike has a gun, and the girls begin to panic. Ike drops a knife in front of them and says that one of them should stab the other or else he'll shoot them. Without a choice, Jenna stabs Vicky several times before running away. However, Ike shoots her dead in the street, while Beth watches helplessly. That night, 2 sanitation workers collect trash and see Melissa clinging on to her life. They come to her rescue and help her out. Back in the house, a police officer drops by, which puts the family in panic. They order Daniel to talk to the officer outside, blackmailing him into lying. The officer asks Daniel about the brothers who have been on the news, but he says he has no clue. Before leaving, the officer tells Daniel to blink twice if anything is wrong or if he needs help, but he assures him that everything is fine. The scene confirms how good of a liar Daniel can be, and Mother senses it right away. With that interpretation, Mother is certain that Daniel knows exactly where her money is but is just hiding it from her. She becomes more frustrated that he has not revealed where it is, which pushed her boundaries. While scouring through the house, Lydia finds a Valentine card addressed to Daniel from Julie. She informs her mother about it, but they get distracted as Johnny shrieks in pain. He says that he will die soon and his last wish is to be intimate with a woman since he has never experienced it before. Mother comes downstairs to force Dave and Trishawn to fight over which one of their partners will be intimate with Johnny. Both men get into a brawl out of desperation to protect their partners. Trishawn knocks Dave to the ground and leaves him injured after several punches. Because of this, Annette has to come upstairs and satisfy Johnny against her will to fulfill his dying wish. Before leaving the basement, Mother tells Julie that she knows about her secret affair with Daniel, leaving her speechless. Meanwhile, Beth and Ike arrive at Sean's laundromat to collect some money. Beth finds a drawer with a gun and gently gets a hold of it while Ike is opening the safe. She successfully holds him at gunpoint, but she misses every shot after he holds the weapon. Beth then runs outside with Ike's phone to contact authorities while he is in pain. She hides behind the hanging clothes, and Ike struggles to get a hold of her again. Just as the 911 operator answers the call, Ike grabs Beth from behind and takes her captive again. In the house, Mother unearths old pictures of a boy's photographs who used to be Beth and Daniel's son, who died in a car accident. The film does not show any backstory of the couple's kid, but he apparently died from being hit by a car. The death of their child created tension in their marriage, which is also obvious in Beth's quiet and timid behavior. Despite Mother's hate for the couple supposedly keeping the money from her, she still sympathizes with the boy's death. As she browses through the photographs, Annette begs Mother to spare her, but she has unfortunately made up her mind. She brings Annette to the living room and forces her to strip in front of Johnny. The poor woman breaks into tears while Johnny looks at her predatorily despite his critical state. Mother even instructs Annette what to do, but Johnny is too sickly to engage in any kind of act. Enraged, Adelie brings Annette back to the basement, and Dave attacks him from behind. While both men fight, Gina finds the opportunity to escape through a small door in the basement. Out of nowhere, Adelie accidentally shoots Dave in the head, and he immediately apologizes for it and claims he did not mean it. Everyone in the room looks at the body in disbelief, and Annette runs to her fiancé, grieving. Mother finds out about the commotion and scolds Adelie for the mess he made again. Upon learning that Gina managed to escape, she orders Daniel to bring her back, or else Beth will die. Without a choice, Daniel runs after Gina, who is asking for help in the neighboring homes. He persuades her to come back with him, but she refuses to. Gina eventually finds out Daniel's intentions and runs away, but the latter gets a hold of her. Daniel knows that he isn't doing the right thing, but he is blinded by his worries for Beth. He completely disregards the safety of his closest friends just to assure his wife's. Daniel knows deep inside that he has caused way too much hurt for Beth, and this is a way to compensate for it. In the middle of that rainy night, Beth and Ike are stopped by a police officer to warn them about the tornado. The officer asks for Ike's license, but he forgot to bring any, and Beth backs him up. As part of the protocol, the officer asks Ike to step out of the vehicle, but in return, he shoots the officer. He walks back to the car and tells Beth that she will now drive. Suddenly, the officer shows signs of life, so Ike commands Beth to run him over. Now that Beth is in total control of the vehicle, she crashes the car instead of running the officer over. Back in the basement, Gina wakes up with Mother at the end of the couch. She informs Gina that she has to face the consequences of her disobedience. After Mother stands up, she reveals Trishawn sitting on a chair behind her. Adelie pours boiling water on him. As helpless as she is, Gina looks at her husband suffering for the mistake she has made. Out of desperation to get her money back, Mother approaches Daniel to show him pictures of his deceased son. He breaks into tears after Mother burns the boy's pictures while trying to extract information from him. Because of Mother's insistence, she commands Adelie to pour liquor on Julie's hair and set it on fire. As Julie is tied, she has no means to relieve herself from the pain, and only shrieks in pain. Shortly after, Mother extinguishes it, leaving a big burn mark on Julie's head. After finding out about Daniel's infidelity, Mother becomes insolent toward him and Julie. In one scene, she even calls her unworthy to be forced upon Johnny. It shows how she understands Beth's turmoil as a wife. While being operated on, Melissa gains consciousness and alerts the medical team that they need to send help to the So Happy residents. The doctors immediately call the police about the situation for rescue. All the while, Gina turns on the fireplace to be free from the thick plastic tied around her hands. After successfully freeing her hands, she unshackles the others and opens one of Daniel's gifts. There, they see a knife set and are uplifted now that they have a weapon to defend themselves. Upstairs, Mother still scours through the house to retrieve the money that is rightfully hers. She endlessly checks the drawers, tables, and every corner of the house to look for it until she spots a picture frame on the wall. She carefully brings it down and realizes that all the money is right there, still untouched and in full amount. Out of joy, she sinks to the floor and celebrates her win. Not long after, Mother asks Adelie to call Daniel so they could confront him about the money. Little did Adelie know, the guests already had a plan on how to escape. As he descends the stairs, everyone teams up on him and stabs him to death. From a corner, Trishawn gets up to get Adelie's gun, but because of his injury, his hearing and eyesight are bad. Gina sees him come up the stairs, so she follows and calls his attention. Sadly, Trishawn gets startled by her and shoots her, which he instantly regrets. While Trishawn attempts to revive his wife, Mother shoots him as well and kills the poor man. She then discovers Adelie's body, which makes her heart sink. Throughout the film, Mother shows how her kids are her whole life. Everything she does is for them, even disregarding the law. She is more than ready to go out of her way to save her children, and Adelie's death is something that she did not see coming. Full of rage inside her, she calls Ike to force Beth to listen to her kill Daniel. Despite Beth's knowledge of her cheating husband, she still grieves his death on the phone. Mother also informs Ike about the death of his brother, and he also grieves inside the vehicle. As everything is getting out of control, George confronts Mother and says that none of her kids look anything like her. He accuses her of stealing the kids and being infertile, but Mother aggressively defends herself. At that moment, Ike and Beth arrive at the house with the money they collected from earlier. Beth sees her friends tied inside the house, and comforts them that the chaos will be over soon. To get ready for their journey, George helps Ike and Lydia bring Johnny to the RV with his worsening condition. Inside, Johnny shoots George despite Lydia's pleas to keep him alive as Johnny needs medical attention. On the other hand, Mother stays inside the house for a while to reveal to Annette and Julie that Beth knew where the money was all this time. She insists that Beth is to blame for all the deaths that occurred that night, but Beth defends herself by saying she saved the money for her baby. Beth knew of Daniel and Julie's affair, and she did not want to leave the marriage empty-handed. The scene shows how Beth knew of her husband's infidelity all along, and she saw the money as an opportunity to escape her miserable life. Despite being seen as the meek wife, she was just gathering up money and the courage to leave. She does not even let her husband know that she is pregnant because he sees him unworthy of becoming a father figure. Mother forces Beth to prove her pregnancy with a test in the bathroom. Upon realizing that Beth isn't lying, she breaks into tears while saying that Beth has no idea how lucky she is for having a child grow inside of her. As she speaks, Beth knocks Mother unconscious by smashing glass on her head, and she comes out to untie her friends. While Beth unties Julie, the latter apologizes to her for having an affair with Daniel. Annette goes to the garage as instructed by Beth, but Julie opts to run outside. Unfortunately, Ike sees her and shoots her before she could run to safety. Hungry for revenge, Ike comes to the garage where Beth and Annette quietly hide. The women eventually find the perfect time to attack and overpower Ike before finishing him off with a nail gun. Mother regains consciousness and finds her firstborn lifeless in the garage. After just losing Adelie, the sight of Ike's corpse even crushes her to pieces. It not only doubles the pain, but also her hunger for revenge. Now more than ever, Mother holds nothing back as she seeks payment for her son's deaths. Beth and Annette hurriedly open the garage door so one of them could run to the neighbors for help. Beth decides to stay behind to fight Mother, but she only gets stabbed. Still phased, Beth wakes up and sees Mother setting the house on fire, so she quietly walks toward her to hit her with a chopping board. Authorities and firefighters arrive, and Beth finally runs to safety. The men go inside and retrieve Gina, who apparently survived the bullet wound. Months later, Beth lives on her own and expects a baby anytime soon. She goes into labor, so Annette, Gina, and Melissa bring her to the hospital to keep her company. After giving birth, Beth wakes up in the middle of the night upon hearing the emergency alarms in the maternity ward. She looks at her baby's bed in horror after seeing that it isn't there anymore. Meanwhile, Lydia happily drives the RV with Johnny, Mother, and Beth's baby as her passengers. The beginning of the movie is a peek at the unfortunate fate that Beth was about to go through. Throughout the whole film, Mother stays true to her name by consistently being a loving motherly figure, despite the irony that she is literally aiding her children in a crime. There are also parallels in Mother and Beth's character, as they both want to protect their loved ones, but the two have clear, distinct ideas on how to do this. The two of them are faced with difficulties that cloud their judgment of what is right and wrong. With the abduction of Beth's baby, it's clear that this is not the first time that Mother and her brood have done this horrific crime. In the end, Mother gets the last laugh upon laying her final revenge on Beth. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.